Hi, I'm Borbala. I'm a singer who's passionate about looking into the deeper meaning of popular songs to see why these songs touches us emotionally and what we can learn from them. Today we are diving into How Far I'll Go, Lin-Manuel Miranda's Grammy-winning song from Disney's Moana movie, to see what it means to be an outlier in a tradition-focused family and community. When we think about outliers, we usually think about people who are so different from the community's norm that it creates such a huge conflict, bitterness and resentment that the relationship breaks and the outlier leaves the community. What's great about Moana is that although she is cross with her father for him trying to stop her to go out on the sea, she actually loves her family and her people. She's just confused because being an outlier is not something that you usually deliberately choose. When she sings, "I've been staring at the edge of the water long as I can remember, never really knowing why," she just tries to come to terms with why she's so different. She wants to play along, she wishes she would be the perfect daughter and make her father happy, and doesn't understand why she can't do that, and despite all of her efforts comes back to the water. I think that living in this modern age where all information is available on the internet, we are very lucky to know that being different and being an outlier is usually not your choice. Nature just created you with different neural wiring in your brain, different personality traits and different interests compared to your community's norm. So what's normal for your community isn't normal for you. What's expected from you by your community might not be what your heart truly gravitates towards. Humanity and all social circles are hierarchical, where everybody has their place and a role to play to contribute to the overall goals of the community. This is not only true in traditional societies, like Moana's on the small island of Motsunui, where the roles and expectations are very clear, but in modern societies as well. Just think about your core and extended family, your workplace or your friendships. If you examine them in detail, you have to admit that even these circles create their own customs and traditions, where you have a place in the hierarchy and you play a certain role. In your workplace, this is crystal clear because you have to adhere to the company culture and the job that you do. In your personal life, these hierarchies and roles are not as well defined, yet they still exist because you're a son or a daughter, a mother or a father, a caretaker, or the one who needs to be taken care of, the cheerful one or the depressed one, the golden child or the scapegoat, the good cook or the jack of all trades, etc., etc. All families and communities create their own rules and customs, which become those communities' traditions that you need to live by. So in all communities, everything is by design without any exception. Have you ever had an experience that you've met somebody from another community and you were discussing how to cook a certain food, and it turned out that in your community you cook that food in X way, while in the other person's community they cook the exact same food in Y way. Different communities have different traditions. If you are fully aligned with your community's traditions, hierarchies and roles, then everything is fine, you have a great life and you are happy. If you're not in the right community for you and you cannot align with the traditions, hierarchies and the roles of your community, that is when you have a problem, which can manifest in different ways. You can feel uneasy, distracted, out of place, but I think the most important telling sign is that you don't feel joy when you participate in the community's day-to-day activities. You can try to accept the role that you meant to play. You can try to convince yourself, like Moana, that maybe I can roll with mine. I can lead with pride, I can make us strong, I'll be satisfied if I play along. That playing that role will be good for you. Especially if you've heard from your father that you must learn where you're meant to be, or from your mother that sometimes who we wish we were, what we wish we could do, it's just not meant to be. From their point of view, they are coming from a loving and protective place because they are aware of how dangerous the sea can be. And since Moana has a loving connection with her family and people, and she is young, inexperienced, thus impressionable, it makes it even harder for her to comprehend why the voice inside sings a different song, and she ends up questioning her self-worth by asking, what is wrong with me? You don't necessarily have to have a huge conflict with your community to be an outlier. You can love your people and still feel that what is offered for you in that community is not enough, it doesn't fulfill you. When she thinks about that,
every turn I take, every chair I track, every path I make, every road leads back to the place I know where I cannot go, where I long to be.
she doesn't realize that it's not her fault that this longing never disappears. If you were born different, if your brain is wired in a different way, of course you will be called to something else than your community appreciates, and you will gravitate back towards that thing throughout your whole life. In your case, what was the thing that you couldn't let go? What made you an outlier in your community? What was your ocean? What was calling you? In my case, I was an artistic person in a non-artistic environment, and music was calling me. I share my story in more detail on my Borbala Music YouTube channel, so watch it there if you are interested. Like Moana, I needed to experience a crisis to finally follow my true calling. But I urge you not to do that. Set your goals and go after them as soon as possible. If you need help with goal setting, check out my stress-free effective goal setting course that I based on my own experience. You can find the course on sapiego.com/academy. I'll add the link in the description below. Although the next section in the lyrics is very literal in the film, Lin-Manuel Miranda's genius writing transforms it into a beautiful metaphor. The reef, the line where the sky meets the sea, represents the limitations of your environment and your comfort zone and calls you to take a leap and surpass your limitations. The blinding light on the sea is your own spark that lights up once you start your journey. As you take one step after another on your self-discovery journey, your personality brightens up and no one knows how brightly you will shine, how clear, deep and profound your personality will become. The wind in your sail is a combination of your skills and strengths that you discover in yourself over time and your determination to continue your journey until the day when you will finally know why were you born, who are you meant to be, what is your real place and role in society, and how can you reach your full potential. When you arrive to this point, that's a crossroads in your life with 3 options. The first option is that you keep showing your authentic personality and your community of origin eventually accepts and integrates the authentic you. The second option is that you make a compromise. You stay with your community of origin and adhere to their rules and traditions by hiding your outlier traits, but you also find another community where you can express those parts of your true self that you have to hide in your community of origin. And the third option is that the divide and the price to suppress your true self in your community of origin is so big that you leave your community of origin entirely. I think that this world is so diverse that there is a perfect community out there for everybody, where your personality is not judged, where you can utilize your skills to their full extent, and you can feel that you are a valuable contributor to that community. Think about where and when did you feel accepted and valued, and just that I'm at the right place for me. In Moana's case, thankfully the first option plays out. Her father and her people finally accept her and her influence. In her case, tradition and self-realization meet at the end, and she can be happy in her community because everybody becomes aligned. I want to acknowledge how great it is that Moana's people had the capacity of self-reflection and were not afraid of admitting and correcting their mistakes. I actually looked into how mistakes lead to personal growth in detail in my Zootopia video, when I reviewed Shakira's Try Everything, and I found 7 tips on how you can turn your mistakes to growth. And for more detail on how a self-discovery journey looks like, check out my Frozen series, where I analyze Elsa's self-discovery journey throughout her 3 fantastic songs, Let It Go, Into the Unknown, and Show Yourself. If you found my How Far I'll Go walkthrough valuable, please support me on patreon.com/borbalamusic or sapiego.com/patrons. Subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, and recommend this channel to people whom you think that would be interested in diving deeper into the meaning of our favorite songs. What are your thoughts on How Far I'll Go and Moana's journey from outlier to valued member of her tribe? What did I leave out of the conversation? What I didn't consider or touched on? Let me know in the comments, and see you in the next video.